A wild horse found itself trapped in thick mud, struggling for hours to escape. In Alberta, Canada, relentless rains had transformed the landscape into a vast sea of mud. While galloping along the forest's edge, the horse suddenly plunged into a deep mud pit. Desperately, it used all its strength to free itself, but its efforts were in vain. Instead of escaping, the horse sank deeper as the heavy mud slowly engulfed its body, pulling it further into the swampy ground. Panicking, the horse struggled desperately to escape, but the more it tried, the deeper it sank. It attempted to cling to the edge with its front legs, but even though its powerful hind legs accounted for most of the horse's strength, they weren't enough to save it. It was completely stuck. The poor animal could do nothing but helplessly thrash about. The horse struggled for hours, trying to free itself from the mud. At times, it seemed as though it might break free, only to sink back into the mire, exhausted and worn out. Every movement just pulled it deeper. Finally, drained of energy, it lay still in the mud, breathing heavily. The horse felt a growing despair, as though it would never escape. No one seemed to be coming to its rescue, and this hopelessness only deepened its sense of abandonment. Even if it had cried out for help, there was no one nearby to hear. Everything pointed to the horse living out its final moments. But then something unexpected happened. A man appeared at the edge of the forest, Daryl Clever, a local farmer. Daryl, who kept horses at his nearby farm, was quite familiar with these four-legged creatures. That day, he had been walking in the forest, marking trees he could cut for use. Suddenly, an unusual sound caught his attention, stopping him in his tracks. Curious about the source of the sound, Daryl began searching and eventually spotted the horse stuck in the mud from a distance. At first, he didn't realize how serious the situation was, but after watching the wild horse struggle for a few minutes, Daryl understood the gravity of the situation. The horse was desperately trying to free itself, but to no avail. Seeing the horse fighting for its life, Daryl couldn't just stand by. The poor animal needed saving. He rushed over to assess the situation, ran to his truck, grabbed a rope, and attempted to lasso the horse. However, horses are far heavier than the average person, and no matter how hard Daryl tried, the horse didn't budge an inch. Realizing it was impossible to free the horse on his own, he quickly came up with a new plan. Daryl ran back to his truck, grabbed some hay and water, and returned to the horse. He fed it and gave it water to drink, then drove swiftly to town to get help. 45 minutes later, Daryl returned to the forest, this time with a few members of the bear family. With more people, their chances of freeing the horse were higher. They had also brought 2 off-road vehicles, which they hoped to use in the rescue. They quickly devised a plan. They would attach harnesses to the horse and connect a rope to the vehicles. By pulling with the off-road vehicles, they hoped to drag the horse out of the swamp. They placed the harnesses around the tired and weary horse. The animal, no longer having the strength to resist, seemed to understand that the people were trying to save it. The off-road vehicles began pulling, gently at first, then with increasing force. They were ready to stop at any sign of the horse being in pain, but the horse showed no discomfort. Instead, it seemed more determined than ever to regain its freedom. After a few tries, the horse began to move. Daryl saw this as a positive sign, though he knew there was still a long way to go. He got out of the vehicle and adjusted the harness to the other side of the horse before climbing back into the vehicle. He made sure the ropes and harnesses were secure and wouldn't slip. Then they resumed pulling. Miraculously, the horse began inching its way out of the swamp. Sensing that it was finally escaping, the horse redoubled its efforts. Its legs kicked with more vigor, and it pushed itself with all its remaining strength. Suddenly, it broke free of the mud and regained its freedom. The horse stood tall, its chest heaving, and let out a triumphant neigh that echoed through the forest. Daryl and his team hurried to remove the harnesses, brushing away the thick mud still clinging to its coat. Cheers erupted from the group, their relief and joy spilling over as they celebrated the success of their rescue effort. But just as their celebration reached its peak, the young horse did something unexpected. It turned, slowly approached the group, and lowered its head in a gesture of quiet gratitude. Its large, soulful eyes locked onto Daryl's, as if to say, "Thank you." For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Overwhelmed, Daryl reached out, his hand trembling slightly, and gently stroked the horse's muzzle. Tears welled in his eyes as he felt an unspoken connection with the magnificent creature. A profound sense of pride swelled in Daryl's chest as the horse stepped back, gave one last glance, and then turned to gallop away. Its powerful strides carried it back into the wild, its newfound freedom evident in every movement until it disappeared into the horizon. What do you think of this rescue story? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. Also subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.